Let's just give you a quick overview of the TTK Labs TTKIOT firmware, how to use a brand new TTKIOT device. So basically, when you have a TTKIOT device, you need to configure it, right? So it's an internet-enabled device, so that's why you just need to go in and provide your credentials for your Wi-Fi access point. So at this point, you need to have your Wi-Fi password so that you can configure the device. So when you turn it on, you're going to see that it becomes an access point, a Wi-Fi access point. So if you go to your Wi-Fi icon in your computer on a Mac or on a Windows, you can see that you have a TTKIOT and a random number, which is the serial number of the device. So basically, you need to connect to the device. You're not going to be required to put a password or username, and you're not going to be required to put anything else. You are connected. So at the moment that you're connected to the device, you just go to 10.0.0.1, and that we go to these you're going to have a greeting message explaining that you need to configure the Wi-Fi on this device, and if something goes wrong while connecting this device to the internet, you're going to you need to repeat the process. So the device is going to start again in setup mode, so you need to follow the same process. Go to the access point that it becomes and just repeat the process. So first thing that you need to do is to define define a name for the device. Let's call it my device. Next, you need to pick a access point. So there's a list of access points that it already have scanned. So we have like good or poor or even unusable. It depends on how far your device is from your access point. So if it's unusable, if you select this one, the device is not going to work, right? If you use like poor, you run the risk of having this device not providing information or not behaving as it should. So you should always try to use good or excellent in the access point. So any chance you're not presented with any access point in here, or your access point is not showing here for any reason, which is also a red flag, because if the device doesn't pick your access point straight away, it seems that you don't have enough Wi-Fi signal strength to use this device. So you click on rescan. When you click on rescan, it's going to check all the networks that is available, and and then you just pick one. The password, you just need to have your Wi-Fi password. Oops, not this. And then pressing next, you go to the TTK Cloud linking. So basically, TTK Labs at the moment is offering the convenience for free, but not guaranteed that it's going to be there forever, to manage this device using the TTK Cloud. You don't need to use TTK Cloud to configure the device, but if you want to, you need to create an account on the TTKIOT Cloud and use here the same email that you used to create your account on the TTK Lab. Worth mentioning that yeah, you don't need to do this. This is an optional step. The device will work properly without being managed by the TTK Cloud, but yeah, it's a thing to have, and I'm going to show you how it works. So by clicking next, email notifications. So this device sends emails to a recipient based on the alarm triggers. So we need to put here which email you want to send, which email address we want to be the recipient of notifications. Clicking on next, because this is a smart scale or smart, weight sensor. We need to put here what's the email, what's the trigger for sending email alarms. So let's say I'm gonna put here 2 kilos, and the temperature, just in case you have something in your scale that you need to control the temperature. You need to be informed if the temperature goes above a specific trigger. So I just put a temperature here. So let's put 25 degrees. And you're going to receive an email if the temperature goes above 25 degrees or if the weight is gonna be over 2 kilos, right? And that's it, all done, all configured. By pressing finish, the device is going to restart. It's going to zero itself in terms of tear, and it's ready to use, operational. So when you press finish, so let's just wait the device to set the scales and start and try to connect to the Wi-Fi. Of course, that in this case it will connect, but if it by any chance the Wi-Fi credentials are not correct, it would start in access point mode again. So so you see that it just disconnected. I don't have this device is not there anymore. It's not even showing as an access point anymore. So if you log in with the email address that you provided in your TTKIOT cloud and you provided and up the device, when you log in, you're going to see that the device is there. So the same serial number, and it's listed here in your devices. If you have 20 devices, you're going to have 20 boxes like these, and you can just click manage, and based on this screen you can change all the parameters. You can rename the device, you can change the triggers, you can change the temperature trigger, you can set up the SMTP server and the user. You have a freedom to use whatever SMTP server you want, whatever user you want to send the emails. Here we're using the TTK Labs Gmail account. Sender name, you can change these to to your name or to the name of your company. And the recipient, we have only one recipient at the moment. In the future perhaps we're going to add multiple recipients, but at the moment it's just one recipient, right? Then we have the network. You can change the network credentials. This is like the Wi-Fi that I'm connected at the moment. The calibration tab, we have all offsets and parameters that the sensor uses to zero based on the weight that it has on the top of it. So it's recommended that you don't touch this thing unless if you know very well what you're doing. There's no need to touch these things by any chance, but if the sensors start to have some weird numbers and just behave not properly, you can adjust the scale by tweaking these parameters. Okay, so after you finish the configuration, you just push the configuration. When you push the configuration, the device will get whatever you put here in these fields. The device will get this configuration, and the configuration is going to be applied immediately, except for the Wi-Fi, the network, right? So for instance, if you're going to move this device from another place, it's better that you just set the SSID and the password, push the configuration, and then you switch off and move it to the right place. In the info tab, you have the latest firmware, like we are always fixing and fixing bugs or adding more features, or so it's there's an option to update the firmware. You just click on this button, and you're gonna get the latest firmware for this type of device. And when you click on the update firmware, it's going to it takes like 2 or 3 minutes to update the device. And if everything goes well, you're gonna see a new number here. If something went wrong during the update of the firmware, the previous firmware is going to be still available. So if it fails, it's not gonna be bricked. It's gonna be using the latest firmware that was installed on the device. So last C mean that this device has like a heartbeat notification. So it sends a heartbeat to TTK Cloud every minute. So it's configurable, but it's not possible to configure here in this screen. But basically, if you see here now, it's like 11:09 p.m. and here in this screen it's showing that the last seen was 11:05, but this is not real time. So if I press refresh, you see that this is the last time that it was seen. So when you come to this screen and wants to see what's the last time that this device was seen, just need to click on the refresh and you're gonna get the last heartbeat. Also, you're gonna get the latest reading in terms of weight. So you have like scale 1 to 4, and these are the weights that we have on the scale. There's no weights on the scale, that's why it's all zeroed. This sensor is not like extremely precise, so the spec sheet of this sensor says that it has around 300 grams of variance, so just need to account for it, but it's usually used to measure things in the magnitude of kilos, so 200 grams is not like a big deal. And you have the temperature here, so this is the latest reading for the temperature, and the RSSI is the strength of your Wi-Fi network. So if this number goes to minus 60 or minus 90 or minus 80, it means that the signal is weak, which means you may miss the heartbeat or you may miss a reading, or if some event happens like the temperature goes up too high, or you may not get an email, right? So that's why it's important to have good Wi-Fi coverage. So if I do a refresh here, you see that the RSSI where I am now, it's good enough, and everything is working just fine. So if I get a weight, let me put 1.7 kilos on the top of sensor number 3. Let me just put here sensor number 3. The scale, it reads the sensor every minute. So we need to wait 1 minute, and after 1 minute pass, I'm just going to refresh here, and it's going to show me the latest reading. So if of course the reading is larger than 2 kilos, it's going to send an email to the recipient that we have defined here, right? So let me just go and give a quick refresh. You see that it's showing scale as 1.7 kilos, and and that's fine. So if I press restart here, by any chance, if I want to restart the device, and if I press restart, all the tears, all the calibration is going to still remain the same. So when it comes back up, it's still going to know that it has 1.7 kilos on the top of it. Let me just put 1.7 kilos on the top of sensor number 1. Of course, you're going to see a little bit of there's 170 grams variance in this specific sensor, so you're going to be around 1.9 kilos in this case, thereabouts. Right, so let me just do a refresh. Yep, 1.9 kilos. because we had that small variance on that specific sensor. Everything else looks very good. So RSSI minus 64, that's a good signal. 19.8 degrees temperature, everything is okay. If you have like 10 devices in here, you're gonna have 10 boxes like these, as I mentioned. If you want to update the firmware, at the moment that you press it in here, it's gonna check on the website and see if you know, download the latest firmware. And if I want to, if let's say that I have a bean on the top of this sensor, and this bean weighs like 1.7 kilos, you know, I just need to click on the reset scale. So let's say that, you know, whatever goes on the top of the sensor, that's going to be part of the tear. We just need to, when we set up this device, or even put the sensors in the right place, we just need to go and reset scales. At the moment that we do this, the device gets the signal that you need to calculate the tear, and everything should be on the 0 side. So this number here is the 1.9 kilos are going to be around 0 with 300 grams of variance, right? Let me just see here. Okay, still next reading still didn't happen, so let's wait a little bit more. Within 1 minute we're gonna have this scale. Not yet. Come on, boy. It's gonna be around 23:14, 15, so we may have a new reading right now. And as I mentioned, it's around 300 grams, but in fact I have 1.7 kilos on the top of scale 1. Right? So if by any chance you don't want to have this device anymore, or you want to get rid of it, or just remove it from your account, basically what you have to do is to do factory reset. So when you do a factory reset, it will remove this device from your account, and it will wipe out all the configurations, restart the device, and it's gonna go as we had it before, brand new, fresh, nothing in there, no leftovers of configuration, etc. So if I come here now, the device is going to be there. It's going to show again as a Wi-Fi access point. It's resetting yet, but yep, you see it show up here. And the moment that I connect, I can come back 10.0.0.1, oops, and the process restarts. And that's it.